The college football playoffs now come down to 4 teams. Michigan, college football's winningest program. They haven't won a national championship since 1997. Is this finally the year in Ann Arbor? Washington, the last time they were national champions, they were led by a lefty. Now another southpaw seeks the summit. Texas, looking to hook another championship in Austin. It's been a long time since 2005. Alabama, the process has snuck into it and left the Seminoles in the cold. 4 teams, 4 dreams, 1 scorn. The Gridiron Girls break it down now. We now have a foursome for the college football playoff, and we're a foursome as well. Hello again, everybody. I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
I'm Shauna Adkison.
And I'm Jacqueline Cook.
And we're the Gridiron Girls for this week, and what a week it's been. Coming off of what a weekend it's been. And this week, we have a special guest with us coming live and direct from the WFL Pros, Pittsburgh Passion, or in our case, WFA Pros, Pittsburgh Passion, all-star offensive line, defensive line. If you need a hole opened up, she will do it. Jacqueline Taylor Cook. Welcome to the Gridiron Girls.
Is that really the way that it was? Okay. Hi, Jacqueline.
Open up them holes.
Look, we're a big fan here of opening holes. And so I think that's so happy to have you as someone who I got to know through our local Stonewall Sports Volleyball League. You know, love LGBT sports here. And I was so happy that Carly was like, oh, yeah. And I was talking to Jacqueline Cook. And I was like, wait, Jacqueline Cook? Oh, my gosh. And it was such a great moment. And welcome to the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Love the fact that we have this little girl gang going on, and it just feels so welcoming.
Well, I can tell you, I wouldn't be wearing this in a lot of ways if it wasn't for you. So it's good to have. It is good to have you back. And in fact, Jacqueline, we're going to start with you. What's news to you this week?
What's new to me this week?
No, what's news to you this week?
What's news to me this week? Well, all the stupid stuff that Ohio's trying to do, impacting trans children, trans people, and trying to eliminate our ability to even exist in the state. So
I know I was watching the hearings
in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, I was watching the hearings, and why can't they be more like that state up north?
Yeah,
They're
you
not
guys
arguing about this.
you can just become part of us if you want. I'm just saying.
Like, I'm not going to say that I wasn't thinking. I was like, gosh, I wanted to make a comment, but I knew it would not be well appreciated about how, gosh, are we really going to let Michigan win on this too? But I hope that I speak to their
followed in Michigan's footsteps with legalization.
That's true. That's true. Also, happy Abortion and Weed Day, everyone here in Ohio, as issues 1 and 2 officially became law today, despite the best efforts of the Ohio Senate, which yesterday tried to pass a resolution for a very, amongst everything else, not only did they have one trans bill that was postponed, they heard something on weed that was, just so onerous and not at all what the will of the people want, and then they still had 8 hours of testimony for this awful trans bill, which we might as well get into now that we're here, because Jacqueline's also an Ohioan like me. So it's terrible. Thank you. Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I know. I couldn't tell if that was an awe of sympathy or an awe of oh, that's sweet. Or
no, it's sympathy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I have to deal with this, and
this is
And I have trans children in my life that I'm really close with too. That I have to now consider their existence, not just my own. Right? Watching them through middle school and high school and getting to live that life, it's so wonderful to live through them vicariously a little bit. But at the same time, I gotta like protect them, like I want to protect my quarterback, saying, no, none of this bullshit in the state's going to impact you. It can't happen.
Well, let me tell you that if there was an offensive line yesterday, it was like the classic Washington football team from the 70s, an amount of
it was the Hogs.
going
Yep.
on.
There was a lot.
It was I went down there with my spouse Dara, and we both testified. Because our last name begins with A, we had to go first, which was great. Like, love, like, setting the tone, starting it off with us, you know. So that was cool. But honestly, hearing all of the stories of these families, and there were so many great stories and so much heart-wrenching as these teenagers, literal children, are pleading for their ability to have their health care.
Because not only was their lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the joke that I made was not, you know, I'm at the like anti-trans healthcare bill. I'm at the anti-trans sports bill. I'm at the combination anti-trans healthcare, anti-trans sports bill.
Here's at the anti-trans cafe.
Yeah, it was, and it was such a like, it was so hard hearing these parents speak. And like you could tell, like the one mother was like, I've been up and down this 11 times in the past few years, and it's like
that was a parent whose Pablo Torre profiled her daughter.
Yeah,
a couple months ago.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to get to talk to Minna. She was she was wonderful and was so passionate. I highly recommend checking out her speech.
The hardest decision we made was to allow our daughter to publicly testify, because when she was only 16 years old, she was forced to out herself to the entire world. She's gone on television. She's been here more times than I can count, because when the athlete ban was first introduced, she was the only one trans female athlete in the entire state approved to play. There have been 21 girls in 8 years. Why are we here at 10:30 at night? Why? It makes absolutely no sense to me, and I do not understand it. And as a taxpayer, I'm livid that my tax dollars are being spent on this. My child spent 3 years of her life begging for you all to listen to her and please treat her as a human being. I don't know what good it's done. Thank goodness she has graduated. Did she go anywhere in Ohio? Absolutely not. She won a $10,000 Vax to School scholarship that she refused to use because she cannot stay here. It is not safe for her here, and she doesn't even want to come home to visit.
She gave such an impassioned plea for her daughter, who is now moved out of the state because she wants nothing to do with Ohio anymore. And frankly, I can't blame her. Like, turned down scholarships and was like, no, I'm okay, thank you.
And the real shame is like listening to the other side view. These asshats are making things up, right? Pretending like we're doing surgery on children, and
they kept trying to gotcha the whole day. Like,
all the statements they're making make my eyes just roll out of my head. Like, it's just so fucking absurd, and they're just eating it up like cake.
Absolutely. And I think too, when you listen, you can tell that like they had to fly in the majority of their testifiers versus we had 80 from across Ohio, all in state, representing major doctors networks, representing families, just everyone from parents to kids. It was a lot. Gosh, hearing this one young girl, Sean, she was in high school, and her and her mother testified, and my God, I don't know how you can have a heart and listen to that and think I'm making the right decision to take away these kids' health care. But honestly, I think it's because they don't want us to be able to easily integrate in society. They want us to be able to stand out because it makes us easier to exclude.
Well, see, that's the one thing that got me. After everybody left and they still had proponents still testifying after everyone had gone, including the one guy from, what's the name of the Christian group in Ohio?
Oh,
what's the name of that group?
I'm blanking on it, but I know exactly which one you mean.
I mean, no, there was this one guy who's saying all these things, and I'm hearing them. I'm thinking, what plan? I mean, where are you getting this from? It's full. I mean, it's again, there are these people that are so full of it. And there's one thing Shauna Adkison, I am very proud of you. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, I'm gonna say it.
Real good.
And at the first break, you're going to hear in full Shauna's remarks to this Senate committee in Ohio, because normally that's something like Dara gets out front. Dara's been out front, and your spouse has always been a spear carrier for trans rights, for LGBTQ issues in Ohio. But to see what you've done, what you did Wednesday, I'm proud of you. Chelsea, what you're doing in regards to the presentation you made and what you recently graduated from, I'm proud of you. And Jacqueline, being a trailblazer, it's just good to see you. And that's one thing, to be surrounded by a sisterhood of excellence who made a commitment of excellence to the community. That means a lot. And I wanted to give you your flowers on that, because it was that important. And I know you were nervous, but you went up there and you gave him the real deal. You gave him the
damn thing.
Yeah, you did the damn thing. I'm gonna be black girl about this. You did the damn thing up there, and telling them this is not only how this will affect queer Ohio, this is how it's going to affect all of Ohio, because it's going to affect business. Because I'll tell you right now, Ohio, I love the state of Ohio. I vacation in Ohio. My girlfriend and I love going to Cedar Point. I'm a Steelers fan. Yes, America's roller coaster. I'm a Steelers fan, which means I do want to go see the Steelers Browns in Cleveland.
I went to that game a few years ago, and it was amazing.
Yes, even
if I had to sit in the Steelers section.
I want to root for Kenny Pickett in Ohio.
Oh yeah.
Well,
because you're new to the podcast. Carly has a giant thing for Kenny Pickett. Can't be
literally
dissuaded.
a bigger fan than his mom.
Kenny Pickett is my quarterback. He is the Steelers quarterback. I always have a thing for the Steeler quarter. I mean, is he my favorite Steeler quarterback of all time? No, that would be Cordell Stewart.
Oh.
No, that would be Cordell Stewart.
Slash was a great time period.
Cordell Stewart was my dude. Even if he went to Colorado, even if he went to the wrong school, he's still my dude. But he's my quarterback. But the point is that I'm not going to go to a state where I'm not welcome. I'm not bringing my money to a state where I'm not welcome. And I'd like to say at Cedar Fair, you just signed that big merger deal with Six Flags. You know what? Get involved in this, because LGBTQ people like roller coasters too. Hashtag just saying. Hey Chelsea, what's new? What's news to you this week?
Okay, so I'm gonna do an unboxing in a second, but first I'm gonna say it's ridiculous that they think, as someone who is a trans teen, if we're not given access to hormones medically through a doctor, guess what? We're gonna still get them because we're teenagers. It's not like finding estrogen is hard. It's not like finding testosterone is that hard. If we want to make it safe, we need to have it through doctors. This idea that you're going to stop transness because of medical access is complete bullshit.
And that was the point I actually brought up yesterday too, for what it's worth, that they were asked, the committee asked, has anyone received there were 3 doctors that testified all together, representing the largest children's hospital network in Ohio and multiple large hospitals. And they're like, well, in our experience, people have come, so I assume that they do have a method, and they couldn't speak any more to that, but they're like, yeah, it's not through our care, and we want it to be.
Yeah.
But if you actually cared about trans youth, then the answer is obvious, but I digress.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do a little unboxing because Michigan's in the playoff. I kind of got some items in the mail. First off, we have the Michigan playoff socks. Obviously, these are not from 2 years ago where they lost to Georgia and I took them off in the first 10 minutes of the game. Not at all. We have chocolate rose. Michigan's in the Rose Bowl for the first time since 2017. It's been a really long stretch, and honestly, I'm absolutely thrilled. Let's see what else. Oh, we have the Connor Stallions Barbie collab with Fuji Films. So very important. You get everything you need to on Bama. And then hold on, one last thing. Oh, Michigan's #1 for the first time since 1997. I was 5 years old when that happened. This is the second best Michigan team in my life. As I said before on the pod, before we started today, if Michigan loses to Bama, we're just going to claim a national championship because college football is broken. So we're the national champions.
I love that for you.
You're going to claim a national champion like you tried to do in 97, right? like you tried to do in 97, right?
Well, why? Why are you trying to do this? I thought our teams were supposed to be unified. I thought it was, we both did it together.
Oh, I thought we were friends.
The 1998 Rose Bowl still has 2 seconds left. A timeout was called and some ref didn't give it to Washington State.
It's actually 1997, and no, it wasn't. It's fine. Are you going to be like, Ryan Leaf was going to be the deciding factor?
Hey, 47 yards away, one Hail Mary, anything could happen. But I digress.
Also, very exciting documentary this weekend's coming out. It's about the Great Heisman Race in 1997, and it's about Charles Woodson, Ryan Leaf, and Peyton Manning. So I highly suggest checking that out, everyone.
Charles Woodson should have gotten it that year. There's no question about that.
He did, yeah.
No, he should have gotten it, and he deserved it. I mean, he deserved it in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree.
That's one thing I will say.
Isn't a shock.
Michigan never stole a Heisman. Ohio State did, though.
We never stole anything. We're America's team.
Memo to Eddie George. Give Tommy Frazier his Heisman back.
Play calls.
We have the collab with Fuji Films. It's fine. It's fine.
What's news to me this week? A couple of things. Number one, congratulations to someone who's gotten a lot of mention on this podcast this year, Taylor Swift, Time Person of the Year. And I'll say this, deserved. Well deserved, no doubt. But also talking about showbiz lost an icon this week, and I just want to say thank you, Norman Lear. You know, when I got into television and journalism, there were 3 influences on me as a little kid up to now that made me want to go into this crazy business. One was Roone Arledge, one was Bryant Gumbel, and one was Norman Lear. Norman Lear, the television icon, died this week at age 101, but his work in television influenced the craft of television shows, influenced network lines for decades to come, opened the art, theater, and business of television to new talent, new ideas. Norman Lear, in many ways, held up a window to America in a decade when this nation sorely needed it. His curriculum vitae is filled with works that people are studying almost 50 years after they aired. All in the Family still resonates. The Jefferson stands out as a beacon of diversity and excellence, and to this day, in my mind, is the best and most real portrayal of an interracial marriage on American television ever. No show since has come close to the class, grace, and realness of Helen and Tom Willis. And yes, I still chuckle at some Sanford and Son, and new generations are as well.
Sanford and Son's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I think of the trans character from the Jeffersons, because there was a trans plot where one of the one characters, like,
there was.
His old friend comes back.
Yeah, his old friend. Yeah, his old friend from the old friend from the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
apparently,
absolutely.
Got what they called a sex change back in the 70s. It was actually a good episode.
And it was one of those, he was unsure, and then he was like, "Oh, you're just my friend." And it's funny how things like that are so much more progressive than I think we give credit for, and how back then when we were seen as this weird curiosity as opposed to gestures broadly.
Yeah. Like you said, if you want to know more about that one, Matt Baum the culture critic Matt Baum did a great series of video vignettes on that. But you look at Good Times, flawed in some ways, but it's a show I'm always going to have a soft spot for. One Day at a Time, it was good then. Norman Lear reworked a reboot for Netflix, and it's still good 40 years later. And before she was Golden Girl Dorothy, B. Arthur was every bit as outspoken as Maude. Yes, Lady Godiva was a freedom writer, and so was Norman Lear. Now, a note to all those who claim to be so edgy, study Norman Lear's career and find out what edge really is. He took on network censors, nervous advertisers, real-life Archie Bunkers, and he stuck to his guns and made the nation think. And not just with his art. He started People for the American Way in the 80s. He used his latter years on educating the masses on the supreme law of our land, the Constitution. My only wish is that he would have been able to see the project he was working on with Laverne Cox get off the ground and get on the air. It would have been interesting to see the Norman Lear touch on the trans experience in America. Nonetheless, rest in peace and power, sir, and thanks for all the fish. And when we come back here on the Gridiron Girls, we're going to jump right into college football. We all know what happened. We all know why it happened. But what happens next? I'm Carly. She's Shauna. She's Chelsea. She's Jacqueline. We're the Gridiron Girls. We're going to be back. But first, check out what Shauna had to say.
Welcome to committee. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the Honorable Chair and members of the committee for giving me the space and opportunity to speak today. My name is Shauna Adkison, and I'm the Events Coordinator for Plexus, Ohio's largest LGBT and allied chamber of commerce, where our focus is on supporting small business to be successful in today's modern economic climate, helping LGBTQ professionals continue to call Ohio home through support and advocacy, and championing the DEI efforts of over 40 large companies throughout Ohio. While I firmly believe there are moral and ethical reasons why HB 68 should not pass, there's also importance in recognizing the negative economic impact that such legislation would have on our state. A more inclusive and welcoming environment is not just a social imperative, it is also beneficial economically. Inclusive policies attract a diverse and talented workforce, fostering an environment where everyone feels welcome and respected. By championing diversity, Ohio can position itself as a state that values equality, that contributes to a positive business climate that will foster economic growth now and in the future. This kind of legislation sends a regressive message that contradicts the principles of equality and inclusivity that Ohio should strive to embody. Moreover, it will only make Ohio a state where individuals and families do not believe they have a future here, which is the reality for so many families throughout Ohio, many of whom you will hear from today. Businesses have taken hostile legislation such as this into account when determining where they should grow and build, and passing legislation that targets trans and gender nonconforming youth will have a deleterious effect moving forward. Ohio should be making decisions that foster growth and encourage businesses to move to our great state, which this legislation would harm and stifle. It is in the best interest of the state, both socially and economically, to reject House Bill 68 and to work towards providing an environment that embraces diversity and supports the rights of all of its residents. Transgender or cisgender, queer or straight, we are all Ohioans who deserve to live our lives and make decisions that we believe are best for our children with the help and guidance of care providers and family. In conclusion, we at Plexus, and myself personally, support transgender youth and their continued access to doctor-recommended medical care, as well as their ability to participate in youth athletics as their genuine selves. This support can improve their mental and physical health and promote their overall well-being. And as members of the business community, we recognize the importance of promoting inclusivity and diversity and believe that supporting transgender youth is a step towards creating a more inclusive and equitable society. I strongly and emphatically encourage you to do the same, and I implore you to please vote no on House Bill 68. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony today.
And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls podcast. Carly Chardonnay-Webb, Chelsea Poe, Shauna Adkison, special guest, Jacqueline Cook win with us. And there's a lot to talk about in terms of college football. A lot to talk about as we're on the way to the bowl season. College football playoffs, Heisman, Army-Navy game coming up. But first, Chelsea, hit us with the college football fun fact.
Okay. This is when college football is so fun. Okay. So the Rose Bowl is where Michigan and Alabama are facing. Obviously, we have vested interest in this podcast. Can you name the 3 states that has hosted the Rose Bowl and why?
Well, for California, it's one, obviously, because that's what the
the host.
Rose Bowl is. Yeah.
Okay, there's one.
Arizona.
No.
Hawaii?
Nope. One
New
of them was
Mexico.
because of something that happened in Hawaii.
Oh,
No
Nevada?
Hawaii. Nope. Do you guys give up?
Wait,
Washington State?
No. None of them are on the West Coast.
Michigan?
No.
Georgia.
One was in the last 5 years.
No, interesting. All right, I give up.
Do you give up yet?
Yeah, I give up too.
Okay, so right after Pearl Harbor, it was hosted in North Carolina. Right?
Why North Carolina?
Because it was far away from there was a real like
wartime.
yeah, they were very afraid that having that big of a mass gathering on the West Coast was a bad idea. There's still like a lot of leftover military stuff here. Like there's a fort by the Golden Gate Bridge that they built specifically during World War II because they were afraid the Japanese were going to attack the West Coast. So they didn't do that. And then during COVID, they hosted at AT&T Stadium in Dallas.
Huh.
Really?
Right? It feels like a fever dream, but it did happen in 2020. So, yeah, it's been
Wow.
hosted in 3 states,
Yeah.
Texas, North Carolina, and California.
Okay, well, there you go. See, this is why we like having Chelsea Poe around.
I thought you guys were in get
I
that.
didn't think I forgot about 2020 because I was this afternoon I was watching what they call the national championship game. Everyone forgot that Alabama Ohio State national title game.
I definitely remember that.
Well, I know
was like Ohio State better lose.
because Ohio State lost big.
Yep.
And they shouldn't
I
have
was
been there in
having
the first place because they shouldn't have gotten to the Big Ten championship game. It should have been an Indiana Northwestern Big Ten championship game.
Oh yeah, because that was the year they just started inventing like rules so Ohio State could
It's
make
like
the Big Ten
Ohio State.
championship.
Yeah, they just started saying like, but it seems like some rules were invented this year because
Okay.
do you agree with Booger McFarland? Did Florida State get hosed?
No. They should try
No.
playing better teams if they want to make more points. Okay, college football is about one thing and one thing only: vibes. That is entirely what it is. It's all subjective. It's all about feeling. How good did this team feel against this other team? Yeah, if you want to see, what matters, head-to-head record, division, all of that, that's what the NFL is for, not college football. College football's vibes. And that's why Alabama deserved to make it, because their vibes are good. They lost early to the number 3 team. They deserve it. And I had told Chelsea before that game, we had talked, and I was like, all right, if Alabama wins, I'm going to wear this new houndstooth sweater of mine. And, well, here we are, as Michigan and Alabama are officially playing for my love.
Wow. So it's so the Shauna fan sweepstakes comes down to Michigan and Alabama.
And I had said that it's really funny that it all seemed like it was heading in this direction. I was like, all right, if Alabama keeps winning, you know what, I'm going to keep them in. And sure enough, they had that Hail Mary against Auburn, and then they beat number 1 Georgia, who hadn't lost in 2 damn years. They clearly want my fandom, and who am I to say no to that? So I go with the 2 teams I have the most affinity for between my high school, meeting my sweetheart in high school, to now my forever association with Alabama, thanks to...
Well, I'm just gonna tell you right now, with what you just said, you sound like this guy. You sound like him right now. You sound like Reese Davis. And Reese on the selection show on Sunday, you could tell getting a little bit hot under the collar. And I happen to agree, but I think Florida State got hosed. I'm going to say that.
Interesting.
Florida State got hosed.
They should have tried having their starting quarterback.
Okay, Reese. Oh, come on now.
No, but in all seriousness,
Florida State got hosed.
It is the entirety of the college football rankings has always been, what have you done for me lately?
What Florida State did was win.
Otherwise, Georgia should have been the 4th seed over Alabama. Let's be honest here.
Well, here's the thing. Alabama did win that game, but then again, a certain person who's wearing a team jersey right now did say Alabama was sneaking their way back into it. Can
I have a second?
Please.
Go right ahead.
Do you know how many college football games I watched this year? You want to take a guess?
Probably, I would say like maybe 200-300 games.
I watched over 200 fucking games, and none of it matters. It doesn't even matter if you win games anymore. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're going to have a hurt quarterback, and we're just going to say no. That I have to defend a team where there's a bunch of white people doing the tomahawk chop makes me so upset.
And Ron DeSantis. You have to defend Ron DeSantis.
I know. I'm on
Ron
side right now.
Say about that.
What we decided to do, we're setting aside $1 million for any litigation expenses that may become as a result of this really, really poor decision by the college football playoffs.
So Ron DeSantis and I are on the same side. Obviously, we're very close allies, right? So, this is bullshit. This teaches everyone a valuable lesson. No matter what you do, no matter how much hard work you pour in, there's going to be 5 old white guys who are going to say, "You're not enough." And that is what Florida State learned.
Isn't that true?
And that's what we all learned. It doesn't matter. You can be great at your sport. You can win every single fucking game. Even better than Alabama won games. Alabama, they're going to beat the shit out of Michigan. I accept that. The fans care way more.
You're going to get your Michigan card pulled.
No.
You getting your Michigan card pulled.
I see the world for what it is. I don't believe my grandpa's text sending me, Michigan's going to be national champions this year. We're playing the hardest team who shouldn't even be there.
Well,
so Nick Saban,
it sounds like they deserve to make it.
That's not how this works.
Clearly.
What have they done to you? What have they done to all of us? They've ruined us. This is all trash. How am I mad right now? Michigan's the #1 team in the whole damn country. But the 200 games I watched, including Sun Belt football, MAC football, Mountain West, Conference USA, doesn't matter. Let's just give it to Bama on vibes. I'm
you mean to tell me
now? There was
you mean to tell me that you
points that could determine if someone won or lost, and maybe like a bracket to determine like who gets eliminated and didn't. If there's like a mathematical way of doing this.
Nope, we're just gonna give it to 5 old men and say, who do you think you want?
Well, that's why my top is Roll Tide.
My top is Bama.
And this bottom is supporting Bama.
Roll Tide!
Y'all are gonna win. I've sent Shauna so many Bama fans I've come across, and y'all care way more. Michigan fans are like, oh, we have a bet with our neighbor, and we'll put a Michigan flag in their Ohio State lawn.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that we got 2 really good games, but on one hand, I really believe Florida State got hosed on this one. And I feel for the guys at warchant.com. It was rough watching them react to it coming down.
So it does indeed come down to Florida State and Alabama, who lost a football game this year, and who lost badly at home, and who needed 4th and 31 against Auburn, who's 6-6. Don't do this. Don't do this, you cowards. Don't do it. What do we have? Still a blank screen. My heart is racing right now, Gene. This is ridiculous.
At least I'm glad I can't hear what they're saying because I'd probably be getting really pissed off if I had to listen to the nonsense.
Alabama is in the playoff. They
my
screwed
God,
FSU.
they fucked FSU. Wow.
They did it. Florida State is not in the college football playoff. That is true. Yep. Florida State is not in the college football playoff. Alabama is number 4. Florida State is number 5.
Freaking believable.
It was hard. But, I mean, next year it's going to be a 12-team playoff. And, I mean, to me, people say it's the 4 best teams, and I'll tell you the truth, I don't think they're the 4 best. I don't think they're the 4. I'll tell you what, the bet to me, one of the 4 best teams in the country got left out because they had the misfortune having to play Washington 2 times. Would you want a piece of would anybody want a piece of Oregon?
I would much rather face Oregon than Bama, of course.
No, you
you would much rather.
No, I literally do.
You would much rather.
I will love Oregon. I will love Oregon so much. Alabama, why would we want any of that shit? They just beat the number 1 team in the country. Guess what we are now?
Oh my God,
the number 1 team in the country.
A great reason for them to be in the playoffs. What a great point, Chelsea.
Except you lost to a team that got beat by New Mexico State.
Didn't they lose to Texas?
They lost to Texas, and they basically lost to Auburn. Let's be honest here. Let's be real. I understand it's a win, but come on.
Other than winning the game, they lost.
Yep.
That's your argument. Okay, just
agreed.
We're on the same page. All right, cool.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, you have Washington, Texas, Orange Bowl. Heck of a game. It's a good one. I like it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, fun football game.
Yeah, I think there's some really fun games. I think
the likely Heisman Trophy winner in that game.
You think Michael Penix is getting it?
Oh, I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to.
Oh, yeah.
It's him and Nix. I don't care. No, don't listen to Paul Feinbaum. If you vote for Jalen Daniels, give your vote. They ought to revoke your vote.
What about Marvin Harrison Jr., the best wide receiver?
No,
Marvin. He's a really good wide receiver, but
Marvin Harrison Jr. is not the best wide receiver in college football. He's not.
Yeah, I think he's
not. I don't think he. Let me put it this way: how in the world can you give him Heisman and when he will not? He should not win the Biletnikoff. He shouldn't. No.
Oh, who? Who would you have over
Franklin for Oregon? Marvin Harrison is a good wide receiver, but against Michigan, 2 interceptions he didn't fight to at least knock away. And he was within proximity to do so and didn't, including the one that proved to be the game winner. In many ways, McCord is leaving Ohio State partially because...
And Fleming. They're losing their second best wide receiver. Yeah. He's just leaving. I want Michigan to get McCord, beat Ohio State with McCord, and break them emotionally. I really want that.
That sounds right.
Now, I do want to talk about one thing, though, because I want to talk about the Chelsea football playoff. Because you believe if a team's unbeaten, they should get in.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
There's a team with an opportunity. There's a team who's unbeaten with an opportunity to show that two teams that are unbeaten have opportunities to show themselves. One, obviously, is Florida State. They play Georgia.
Oh.
And they will play Georgia. You think they'll lose to Georgia. And then
they're going to lose very badly.
Because I think this is a very interesting game. It's that Fiesta Bowl. Dang interesting
It's going to be
game.
brutal.
Dang interesting game.
Do you think they...
Oregon, Liberty.
Do you think Liberty has any chance?
No.
It's going to be worse than Colorado.
I'll put it this way. There are some people online who talk about the parallels between Oregon, Liberty, and Oklahoma, Boise State back in 2007. To me, there is no parallel.
No.
There's a big difference between, first off, that Oklahoma team, yes, they were a conference champion, but no, they were a flawed conference champion.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, and on the other side, that Boise State team, they beat They beat 2 Power 5 teams that season. They're a good team. That Boise State team, you could have put them in a college football playoff and they would have held their own.
A lot better than Liberty.
Anyone. Liberty is going, and plus, here's another big difference. Oregon has Bo Nix will play in it, as already said, he will play in that game.
Why?
Why would you play in that game? Because he wants. Actually, I think it's smart that Bo Nix wants to play in it. I think it's smart because Bo wants to go out with his team, wants to go out and show people how good Oregon is, wants to play one more time, but also it can help his draft stock. Actually, this is a game. This is a showcase game for them as well, and I respect Bo for wanting to play in it. And if I'm Liberty, you better eat your Wheaties that day because you're going to get full strength Oregon.
Speaking of,
and I hope Oregon comes out. Yes.
Do you know about the Pop-Tart Bowl this year, guys?
The Pop-Tart
I
Bowl.
do know this.
So, if you're unaware, they're going to have a mascot who's wearing an edible costume. And after the game, instead of hosting the trophy up or whatever, they want the team to run around them and start eating the mascot. That's so the
weird.
goal.
College football is so weird.
We also have the Mayo Bowl.
How dare Florida State not make it in when we have a person getting eaten in a Pop-Tart costume? Like, that's really the problem with college football? No.
Quickly, pick Army Navy coming up. Who you got?
Navy.
Space Force.
UCF.
UCF. Actually, I'm going to end this one. Army needs the win to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Do you think that's Space Force?
If Army gets the win, they get it. If Navy gets it, Air Force gets to keep it. I think Army. Going Cadets on this one. When we come back to the Gridiron Girls, we're going to look at the NFL and the NFL LGBTQIA, even though we're all pretty much out of it. I'm Carly. She's Shauna. Jacqueline. We're going to be back. Stay with us.
My name is Julie Day. I'm a trans woman, and I am currently a captain of the Columbus Chaos women's tackle football team, as well as the director of finance and IT at Kaleidoscope Youth Center. And I'm living proof that no amount of telling your child to man up can cure her of being trans. I'm here to talk today in opposition of this bill, focusing on the piece about women's sports. The one thing that still ties me to the life before is football. In high school, I played as someone who wasn't me. I was playing the role of captain of the high school football team. It's a great cover for someone who's hiding a secret as big as mine is. I played it well enough that I had some opportunities to continue in college. I didn't feel like I could keep up the act as I had before. It was slipping, and it was only a matter of time before it caught up to me. I said my goodbyes to the sport, not knowing I would be back on the gridiron in just over 15 years. This time as who I really am. I heard people like me lambasted on the news, social media, and South Park. I heard sports radio hosts talk about how dangerous people like me are and how much the testosterone in our bodies have made us into unstoppable athletes in between ads for low T centers that portrayed men with low testosterone as being weaker than their wives. I read the science and the studies. I know from my own experience at how much my body, my strength, my athletic capabilities had changed since I started hormone therapy. I knew in the eyes of many that none of that mattered. I also knew that those people don't care about fairness or women. I know that they never talked about women's sports unless it was the Olympics or a trans woman was involved. I knew that it never crossed their minds to support any of the myriad of women's pro, semi-pro, and amateur sports teams in the area. I know now that many people hearing this now have never heard of the Columbus Chaos. So I tried out. I was open about who I am and what I have been through from the jump. I did all the things that one in my position is required to do. All the blood tests, all the forms, making sure all my information was up to date. I braced myself to be rejected, to be ostracized, to be sent away. And I wasn't. I was welcomed with open arms. These women, who knew the circumstances I brought with me, accepted me as their own in ways I couldn't believe. This diverse group of women from all walks of life made me feel more safe and secure in who I am than ever before. We practiced, fought, won, lost, experienced amazing highs and devastating lows as not just a team, but a family. For a lot of us, the field is the place for us to escape all the things we were dealing with in our day-to-day life. We all get to set that aside for a few hours on a Saturday night to go play football with our sisters. The past 12 months has been the best sports experience of my life. Being able to just be myself and for my teammates to see me for who I am has blown everything I knew about being part of a team out of the water. To deny this experience to any young woman, even one who happens to be trans, is nothing other than cruel. People love to tell athletes to shut up and play ball. Please, let me shut up and play ball.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Girls podcast. Carly Chardonnay Webb, Chelsea Poe, Shauna Adkison, special guest Jacqueline Cook here, and we got to talk about some pro football, and of course that means the NFL LGBTQIA, and I'm just wondering, we're all in the consolation round at this point.
Yeah, we're all
in
bad.
the losers bracket, and that's okay. I love that for us.
I do
wasn't
not.
meant to be. Look, I made my run, but now I get my second shot at Chelsea because we're playing each other in the first round as it's a court of throws and runses versus Sasha Grey Pride.
Well, I can tell you, but based on your team last week, got a win though.
My team,
you have a shot. Hey, you have a shot at winning record. You have a winning record.
Real.
So hey, 7-6 is not bad as you head into the consolation round.
When I started 1-5. Like I started my season 1-5 and ended up 7-6. That is a win. I feel very good about that.
Well,
you can't always win.
One person that really helped you this season, like if you had to pick an MVP of your team, who'd you take?
Ooh, I think it has to be. Probably Puka Nacua. I think he's been just absolutely a revelation.
I'd lean for Mixon because Mixon's been killing it for you always.
Yeah, honestly, I thought I made a real mistake drafting him, but he's since week 8, he's pretty much put up over 15 points except for 2 times, and that is what you need from a high running back pick. Honestly, I thought I made a poor decision, but I think actually he was pretty good. So that's a good point. Let's see. Wait, how much is Etienne? I wonder what Etienne is. Because that was my big draft decision, was whether I draft Joe Mixon or Travis Etienne.
And on the other side, you've got... See, you two have good records. And
I don't know about that.
Hey, 6-7 is not bad. It could be worse. And Deebo Samuel had 36 points in the runaway for against the Eagles. I mean, you both have players that were high performing.
Yeah.
And 6-7. I'll take a 6-7 record any day of the week.
Yeah, it's like going to a bowl game and losing. It's fine. I'm used to it.
And you also have the only part. You have the only part of the Steelers that's actually working. The defense of the Steelers is about the only thing that's really working.
Warren, the running back, has been pretty good because they have to play from behind, and so he gets a lot of screens late in the game.
This week notwithstanding, considering the nastiness that happened there. Over under on total touchdowns scored between the Patriots and the Steelers tonight. I'm putting it at 2. I can run with that.
I'm so out of
over under 1.5 touchdowns.
Over under 1.5.
My days of the week are so messed up right now.
Same.
There's not college games going on during the week right now. I don't know what day it is. I'm like, there's football today? Really?
And of course, okay, get your laughs in while you can.
Look, you had a
Kenny Pickett.
You just went up against the Chubby Duckies machine.
That's true. The Chubby Duckies who could. I'm just wondering, who do you think will win our league? Will win the league? Because
I think the Chubby Duckies got it. I
believe so.
I think Rhiannon has a very good team.
And the Jaguars -1 point. I picked the right defense that day. Sam Howell doing what Sam Howell does.
You finally starting Sam Howell.
I've had Sam Howell's been starting the last 3 games.
Okay.
No, Sam Howell's starting the last three but also because Kenny Pickett's out. Kenny Pickett is out, which means I need a backup quarterback, it looks like. Need a backup.
Did you really have a backup quarterback even when Kenny Pickett was... Never mind.
Oh, you're just taking the shots, huh? Just take the shots.
You took me sharing the video of Kenny Pickett doing the fake slide so personally in our group chat. You were just like, stop talking about Kenny Pickett.
He's my quarterback.
Yeah, he did a very cool move once.
He did. Is the coolest thing he's ever done on a football field.
It is literally true, though. That's the only thing I know him from. When I think of him, it's just that.
He's thrown 2 touchdowns in a pro football game once. That's pretty cool.
Oh, you guys are just taking shots, but
more shots to the end zone than Kenny Pickett takes.
But one thing. Oh, okay.
It is funny because we have a Pittsburgh footballer here.
All I can say is, like, in 3 weeks from now, I will be watching the Steelers play in a playoff game. You will be watching lamenting. You will be watching along with the rest of the Cleveland Browns.
You'll be watching Alabama's national championship.
I will absolutely. I will make a gentlewoman's bet that is not the case, and that it will either be neither or the Browns.
It'll be the Steelers. Period. The Steelers.
The Browns are making the playoffs.
Finish ahead of the Bengals at this rate.
No, I think the Steelers still going to find a way to make the playoffs because we're going to run that ball. Hey, Najee's back. We got Najee Franco Harris. We're going to be all right.
Well, we have Joe Flacco because he's back.
Joe Flacco.
Oh.
Do you know how many beatings the Steelers have given Joe Flacco over the years?
Not as many as the Browns have. I'll give you that.
Back when Flacco was playing for a good team.
He's been carried by a defense before. Why can't he do it again now?
Okay, we're gonna find out.
Right.
I will take your gentlewoman's bet. I will take it.
Sure.
I will take it.
Yeah, are you more Steelers stuff? Are you more Steelers stuff?
Well, name it. What do you want? What do you want?
We'll talk about this.
We'll work on that. But one thing, quickly looking at the game last week, it just seems like everybody. It seems like we're talking about all these good teams. The Eagles got bombed by the 49ers. The 49ers
destroyed.
Just got into them. I mean, where did Jordan Love come from? And how did he beat the Chiefs? And by the way, what's up, Jonathan Owens getting the hit of life? I mean,
yeah,
Mr. Simone Biles coming on bringing that lumber.
Simone beat Taylor
and got a penalty on that, which he shouldn't have gotten. That should not have been a penalty. That was a clean hit. I mean, Taylor's version in Green Bay just wasn't as good. I mean, and now home field up for grabs. Who do you think gets home field in each conference now? Because it looks good. A week ago, this looked kind of set. It looked like the teams are finally establishing themselves.
I think the Dolphins absolutely got one.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. And
wow.
I think it's going to be Dolphins-Ravens.
Huh.
Hey, Jacqueline, could use a little help here with this Browns fan.
I hope Philly does good.
Men's football.
Do you know why?
Why?
Not because of Anti-Team Alliance. Because I have a friend out there, Amanda Congialdi, at quarterback in the WFA, and she talks such wonderful shit.
Isn't she the passion?
Every time they win.
Isn't she the passion quarterback?
No, she's the DC Divas quarterbaak.
Oh, she's the Divas quarterback.
That's such a good name, the DC Divas.
That is a good name.
Every time Philly wins, Congialdi talks so much shit on the internet, and I just live for that.
Now I'm just wondering, was she talking any shit last week because the 49ers gotten them cakes?
I mean, she did say, like, after Philly lost, they went from number 1 to number 1. So it's okay.
Well, I'm going to put it this way. Home field's up for grabs. I don't know about two Nintendo Vittles and the Dolphins getting number one.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I don't know. I still think it'll be when all is said and done. I think Chiefs and Eagles will get those top seeds. But they're going to be kicked with top seeds. But I do want all of a sudden the Cowboy fans are squawking.
Big game this weekend.
True. Eagles, Cowboys, and
the Eagles get their the Eagles embarrassed the Cowboys, I think, right? Like, I know that they just lost to the Niners, but God, I can't.
I'm going to say it.
The NFL doesn't make sense, so.
This has a 1970s feel for me. This has little kid Eagles Cowboys vibes in a lot of ways because Cowboys are surging. You're not sure about the Eagles. And I mean, there's a very much a Tom Landry, Dick Vermeil mood now because the Cowboys, they're starting to come together and smell some blood in the water. I mean, I've always said Dak Prescott is a winning quarterback if he gets out of the clown car in Dallas. Maybe he's found a way to drive the clown car. Who knows?
See, him and CeeDee Lamb, they've got quite a connection.
Well, tell you what, I could use CeeDee Lamb this week. He'd make my fantasy team just that little bit better, even though at 2-11 it ain't much.
Hey, you know what? Everybody's record's the same, and the consolation bracket. We should have a good name for it. I feel like there should be an honorable, a good name for the bracket. So this league was started in the pandemic for Jacqueline's sake. So it's Duke Johnson & Johnson and Deshaun Pfizer divisions. So that to tell you how long ago that we started this.
I do have some breaking news for next year. I have decided to rename my team Sailor Warren Moon for next season.
I think that is a great name.
We're gonna rename the team Sailor Warren Moon for next year. We'll have the official announcement at the end. Have an official announcement when we transition to the transition game in January. I will be in Sailor Moon. I will be in full Sailor Moon regalia for it. So you've heard it here first. That's what's gonna. That's what's gonna. Of course.
Of course you are.
When we come back, look at the fourth segment. More on Jacqueline Cook and why Jacqueline Cook is so effective anchoring the line of the passion and the last call. More on that to come, but right now, here's Kirby's Corner.
Kirby, what are you doing with my road jersey?
Helping you out.
How?
Well, I know that you needed some players. Know the team needs the help, so I figured I'd do a little commercial.
Okay, Kirby, the floor is yours.
Look, I'm Kirby the Cat, and Carly's my cat mom, and she's proud to be a part of Reapers women's football. Last year was her rookie year, and I tell you, she loved it. She absolutely loved it. The smile on her face was priceless, and it made her a better cat mom. And I root for her all the way, just like I root for all the Reapers. Hey, you want to be a part of a team that's special? Hey, be at the practice. They have practices this Saturday and next Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Carmel Sports Club, Carmel, New York. The address that you're seeing right now. Come on out, be there. Tell them Kirby the Cat sent you. How's that, Carly?
That was good, but we still got to do the corner. How about the picks?
Well, Lions over the Bears, 28-10. It's gonna be the Lions. They're gonna win that easy. Bengals, 20, Colts, 13. You gotta like that Browning. He's a pretty cool cat. Jags 27, Browns 22. Yes, Shauna, I said what I said. The Browns, no matter who you got, they're not going to beat my cool AFC Cats. And the Saints are going to beat the Panthers. After all, it is the Panthers, 24-13. I wonder who the Panthers are going to pick first in the draft next year. Also, Army-Navy. Carly's going to pick Army, so I'm going to obviously pick Navy. Navy 20, Army 19. And I got to pick for that Las Vegas Bowl right out.
Really?
Northwestern's playing Utah. Really, Carly? Utah? You really think I'm going to take the Cats over Utah? No. Utah 35, Northwestern 15.
Kirby, it's bad enough you're making fun of Kenny Pickett, but you want to pick the Las Vegas Bowl already? You want to pick Northwestern to lose already? I thought you were my friend, Curb. Thought you were my friend.
Hey, I did an ad for you. What more did you want?
Used to be my homie. Now you act like you don't know me. And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls. I'm Carly. She's Chelsea. She's Shauna. And we got Jacqueline Cook with us. Now, one thing about playing, the person that made me want to go out there and play some football was Jacqueline Cook. Jacqueline was on my previous podcast, The Transporter Room, more than a year ago, and we talked a lot about football. And I said, I'd like to get the opportunity to play. And she said, "What's stopping you?" And a month after she said that, I was at my first practice for Connecticut Reapers women's football. And here I am after a great 1 year, a little bit more than a year later, after a great season and a lot of fun. Jacqueline, for you, what keeps you coming back? Because I know we both got seasons coming up. What keeps you coming back?
Okay, before I go there, though, I have to say, I was so excited that you were trying out Carly. You were sending me pictures and videos, like talking about how good the experience was on your team. I was showing them to my partners and everything. I was just so over the moon with the fact that you were getting out there and getting to play. Like, that brought life to my day that you were getting out there for it. So just have to throw that out there. Way to go get it.
Well, I appreciate it. And because I was there. You were one of the inspirations I had. Erica Meacham was another inspiration I had. So it was great just seeing you play and watching videos of you play, especially. I was like, I knew two things. One, this is cool and it's doable. And two, I don't know if I want to try and rush a passer if you're that blindside tackle.
I get my job done.
Oh, you do definitely get your job done. And in fact, let's check out how you do it. We got to check this out how you do it, because here at the Gridiron Girls,
that's
we show highlights.
So wholesome.
We show highlights, and yes, we had to get Mom in it.
Yeah.
That's right, number 65 getting out there. Just follow the spotlight and follow number 65 to daylight.
I score by putting my person in the end zone.
And then here's another one. Seal off the backside. And whoever this number 4 is, you got to love her. I love 4 and 27.
Damn.
Who is this 27 kid at quarterback? I love her.
That's Sissy George. That's our quarterback. And she was a first-year quarterback last year.
Now, look at this. Ran on the quarterback draw, you pushed him out, and then Sissy, her name's Sissy, you sure about that? Look at she's just pushing people around.
Sissy?
I don't know if I want to tackle her.
Oh, that's a forced feminization.
Now, check out this. Look at you sealing off well on the draw right there. It doesn't get better than that.
Damn, do you work at IHOP? Because you be serving pancakes.
And this is against Boston. They have been undefeated for 5 years.
Oh, shit. Nice block.
Wow.
Field goal block right there against the Renegades. And of course, here you are sacking your friend.
Ooh.
Oh, nice tackle.
One of my first sacks. I think my first sack of my entire life.
Here's another view of it. And you're still friends after this, huh?
She stayed at my house over the national championship weekend.
Love that.
She loved it.
I'll tell you, that was just great stuff. It's
so good.
Yeah, we're friends. And that's one thing that's, I think, so cool about women's football is even though it's a nationwide league with 60-plus teams across multiple divisions, it's also very close, right? Like, we are there supporting each other because we know that no one's supporting us outside of us for the most part. Yeah, we have fans and things like that, but we're not getting the support from a league or from a sponsorship perspective like let's say the WNBA is or something of that nature. That's why it's like so hard to pay to play and people trying to travel to play and working multiple jobs just to try to like get those fees in and traveling and practicing and all this stuff. No, we have to support everyone because if anyone excels, they raise the boat for everyone.
Absolutely. A rising tide lifts all ships. Absolutely. Yep. And I think that, I felt that way when you were talking about seeing Carly's videos and how I felt. And honestly, I know, through, my dodgeball playing, because like the playing for in the USA Dodgeball Premier League, like we all are out there doing some really awesome things. Like, I just think it's so cool. Like,
so Carly, you asked me what's my motivation, or
what keeps you playing?
So
what keeps you coming back? Because this is a lot. Because let's face it, you have a job that consumes time.
Yep.
Know about that. You have a job that
at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, you have a job that's time consuming. It involves travel. I have two jobs, and I'm doing a lot of freelance work on top of it. And so many of us work our tails off. We're working 40-hour weeks and then getting in a car and then drive overnight and play a game the next day and then get some sleep and then drive back home. That's a lot.
I'm going to drive 10 hours to Boston this year, 10 hours to Alabama this year. Like, it's a lot. It's fun. Playing on a women's team, super, super fun. From a trans perspective, really affirming. I fit in with these people. Like, it feels like family. And that's hard to say. Growing up, when I was younger, I would watch women's sports. I would watch women's softball and volleyball and basketball. Heck, my high school team won the national championship in basketball my senior year. Great team. There was so much like being on the outside looking in, like I want to be a part of that experience. When you look at the dynamic of a women's sports team compared to like a men's sports team, as someone who's kind of like been behind enemy lines, the camaraderie, the family feel, the support is entirely different. And that's just something I was always craving. I was always wanting to be out there. And I did like stats for teams. I was a big supporter. I dated softball players, never played softball. So yeah, it was just wanting to be a part of that experience. When I found out there was an opportunity, I'm like, let's try it. Let's go see if this body has something that could offer the team. I'm turning 40 this next year.
Same. I
went 20 years without playing sports at this level. I didn't know I was going to be able to do it, right? I put in all this work to be able to play on this team at this level. And I feel like at this point in time, my body's going to outlast my political capability to play. I feel like I'm going to lose the opportunity someday because of legislation, because of just how the country's going. So I kind of want to take advantage of the limited time that I feel like I have and make the most out of it so I don't look back with regret, right? This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, getting to go travel the country to play in the sport, to protect my friends, to really form a strong bond, to go international and meet these people in Mexico or possibly Europe or whatever, to play football. It's wonderful.
It is, and
so special.
And what you said was was true about how affirming it is,
and that because connections.
Yes, and I mean when you talk about that, I had to fight back a tear because that's how I felt.
Yeah,
same.
Because I remember, because I had said I was afraid I'd be completely dysphoric wearing full football pads, wearing the full football armor, and it was the exact opposite. It felt like wearing a good cocktail dress.
See, to me,
my first game out, it felt like I was home.
This is going to get a
really
little
felt
nerdy,
good.
but
go for it. We're here for it.
When I was younger, I always felt like Samus Aran from the Metroid video game series. So,
oh my god,
that's a great analogy.
That is a great analogy.
Metroid 1 on the NES, well, dating myself a little bit, they had he/him pronouns for this character in the manual. Like, people did not know this character was a woman. When you beat the game, after a certain amount of time, she'd take her helmet off, and you'd see this hair coming out. I have a tattoo of her right here. She is definitely some sort of role model. And I always felt like putting on these football pads is like a kinship with her. Like, people are not seeing who I am, right? And this is covering it. And someday I'm going to take off this helmet and my hair is going to spill out. And it does now, right? And living that is just living a dream.
I'm going to tell you that's not nerdy at all because I feel the same way.
It is very nerdy, but I
feel
love it.
no, I love it. No, to me, I feel the same way when I put on when I put on my foot. Like when I was a little kid, right? I felt like I was Luna from Robotech. I mean, cute girl in a badass mecha. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. It felt like being the anime princess in the big battle robot. That was me growing up. So no. And in fact, I want to get Jacqueline commentary on a moment that felt very special to me. You got to give me some. You got to give this.
Oh, it's the pick.
This was my first.
Hell yeah!
Game. I remember sending you the text message after the first game and telling you it's like you aren't going to believe the wild stuff I did in this. You aren't going to believe what happened to me. And I got to get your view of this. I have to.
Got 4 wide receivers, 2 up top, 2 at the bottom. James is all alone in the backfield. James looking, dumped, and it's intercepted.
Shoot. And taken.
That is Webb, and Webb is going to take that to the house.
I was jumping up and down at this
Touchdown.
I'm so excited for you.
That is not what the Sting wanted here before the end of that half.
I think I responded telling you that one of the women that I'm dating, Paige Cox, who also now is playing for Pittsburgh coming up.
Yeah.
She stripped the ball playing defensive tackle from a running back and ran it in for a touchdown. I didn't even know if this game was going to be broadcasted on like YouTube or whatever to see later. I was filming it with my phone, doing the janky ass like videoing my TV just so I could send it to her and say, they even called out the wrong name. I watched you score this touchdown. I was jumping up and down for it too. Like, I love it when people get to do these amazing like displays of athleticism. And let's talk about athleticism and let's talk about trans people in sports. Right? This is why we're here.
For real.
Football is the most inclusive sport out there, I have to say, with the bodies. Like, in football, tackle football, not flag. And this is a beef I have with the NFL and all their support of flag. Tackle football requires diversity. If you have everyone the same size, the same height, the same level of athleticism in one capacity, you're not going to have a good team, right? Football is built on pillars of diversity with body size, right? This body is not playing flag, and many other bodies aren't playing flag too. Things like that are just built for a certain body type, really like showy and flashy, like let's focusing on the throws and the catches and all this stuff. I'm not out there playing football to try to hurt anyone. My goal is never to punish somebody, to injure somebody. Heck, if anything, I want to protect people. I want to save my friends and my family from any sort of injury or collision. And I can do that. And there's room for all sorts of bodies in football. And that's incredible.
I mean, that's true because you look at, we look at our respective teams and you've got all different types of bodies. You've got skinny bodies, you've got big bodies, you've got bodybuilder bodies, like certain members of the Passion, like one of my favorite players on the Passion. And I mean, I look at my own team. You've got people, I mean, our cornerbacks on the Reapers are like people combined, they might be 6 feet. And then on the other side, we've got people who are also mountainously big, and then you got me, who's kind of like, who's skinny but deceptive.
My first season with Pittsburgh, there was a girl who I think is 6'7", 390 pounds. Right, like I was not the biggest person on the team, and that's a cis person, right? Not a trans person. So you're not out here trying to say that like trans people are always the exception in some capacity on body size or athleticism.
And just to kind of go off that, like I feel the same way about like my sport of dodgeball, that I love that there's a lot of body diversity in dodgeball, that it isn't just like this is the one way to play, that there are different skill sets and different like all sorts of different people, like in different ways to contribute and like make a positive impact on the court. I feel so similarly. And also like going back to what you were saying about community too, I think that's something that like so many of these like transphobic women commenters, like they're so quick to divide and to try to draw this line between us and them. And in practice, it's just one big community that I'm a part of, that you're a part of, that we get to be a part of. And it sucks that they don't want that for us. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to be in community with us, if you don't want to see us as your peers, then fine. You don't have to be. But that doesn't mean that there aren't just as real, legitimate, and valid people in communities that do want us and do want us to be a part of it. And I think it's really beautiful that you found that, and so is Carly. And I mean, Chelsea, you have two in your medium as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's just so special that we have 3 athletes on here talking about all this stuff. And it's almost like this timeline where you're like, eventually, I'm going to be able to play. And it's crazy because my industry, we had trans inclusion and we kind of moved past it where it's like, I'm nominated against a bunch of cis people at AVN this year. Nobody gives a fuck, you know?
Right.
I would like to see sports get to that point. And one thing
I hope it will.
And one thing within our teams is I tell people a great deal of the time, there's 21 people on my football team. Last year we had 21 people on the roster and 20 of them were cis.
Yeah.
And 20 of them were cis.
65 or 66.
Yes. And the point is that they didn't care. That at one level they care because no, Carly, you're a sister. And I remember from the beginning hearing from the person who's the lead administrator of our team, Sonia Flusky, when I first met this team, she's like, we are a women's football team for all women. And having your teams tell you, I can't wait to play. I can't wait to play with you. This is going to be so much fun. And have your team, one, know that you're trans and not care at one level, but at another level, that same team also said when we were looking for a new league, we won't play in any league Carly can't play in. That level of solidarity means a lot.
Absolutely.
And that meant something.
Knowing that your team and your league has your back is so important.
Yes.
Like,
but also another thing is, and one thing I admire about the passion is just the level of professionalism of the team. And in many ways that started at the top, and it also started with a huge benefactor. And I didn't hear about this until he passed away. That one of my favorite players. I'm a Steelers fan from way back. We're talking 45 years. And I had no idea that the great Franco Harris was a co-owner. What did it mean to have somebody that big not only just put his name, but really be a patron, be there? In fact, the scenes from your first game last season, the tribute to Franco after he passed away, both teams lined up on the 32-yard lines. What did it mean to have someone like that as someone who was a sponsor and backing this team?
It feels to me like, in some ways, sadly, a missed opportunity, but I see the impact he's made on this sport, on this team, and on these people's lives. I really wish I could have gotten a chance to know more personally. But he was supporting women in women's football for years and years and years, and it was such a positive light on the league, on the team, on the sport, and a completely background supporter. He didn't want the spotlight on him. He wasn't doing it for the kudos, for the cookies. He wasn't doing it for the Ally Awards or anything like that. He was there because it was really, really good football, and he liked it. And he liked us, and he didn't want the limelight. He wanted to put us in the spotlight to celebrate our wins and our accomplishments. And he wanted to help us achieve those goals. That is it feels like a rarity in this world of like women's sports support from people.
And also, it didn't hurt that you guys went out and won the tribute game. and won that tribute game, and also saw you smothering some people the way you do. Football hugs for everyone, right?
This is the way. Football hugs are wonderful.
Football hugs are wonderful, even though I'm going to try and limit those this season when I'm carrying the ball. With that in mind, though,
if someone makes that hole for you, it makes it a little easier for you to avoid them.
Well, here's the thing: if hey, Jacqueline, if the passion doesn't work out, Reapers could use you. Just saying. Hey, we wouldn't mind having you. And just a note to anybody who's watching our podcast: if you live, say, in like Connecticut, Massachusetts, upstate New York, heck, we got players who come to play for us as far away as Newark. So you know what? Looking for a team to play for? Carmel Sports Club, Carmel, New York. Saturday mornings these next 3 weeks, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Come on out. Come on out. You will be glad you did. And no matter where you're at, if you want to play some football,
there's a league near you.
There's a team near you, and these teams are more. There's more teams out there ever dream. The point is, though, get out there and play and try. Just get out there. If you come from a different sport, doesn't matter. They're going to be there to coach you up and pick you up. If you're an athlete, you're going to pick this up. But even if you aren't, even never played a sport before and never had the chance, why not?
And in fact, that's what's wild talk about trans women in women's professional football. One big topic that I see in the women's football world is there's no builder leagues. We don't have the high school to college to pro pipeline like men's teams do. Because sadly, we don't have women's football teams in high school and in college.
We're working on it.
Players.
We're starting to see it.
We see some women players, and we're seeing more and more push into flag, which I've already ranted on that. But what could be a recruitment source of women who maybe have played football before, who might have some skills with it? Maybe you can recruit trans people, not just allow them to play if they happen to pass under the radar good enough, but go seek them out. Hey, did you play football in high school? Are you a woman now? Right, come check us out. Right,
what a great
targeted marketing and advertisement. You could actually get people with football experience coming from younger ages, and they could celebrate it in their life too. We have players that played in high school, cis women, trans people. I don't want to out anyone, but that's okay.
No, but the thing is, though, it's for me, I didn't think you could, and that's another thing. I didn't think I could play. I didn't think I'd be able to play, and then all of a sudden, our quarterback Sam Valentino walks up to me and goes, "You look like you can play a little bit," and it's and then we're throwing. Next thing you throw the ball around, it's I may have a shot to play at this. Football felt so different being out there playing, and Jacqueline, that's a good point. And with that in mind,
in life, it's felt like it had to comply with some sort of social standard, go under the radar, keep the target on my back, attract zero attention, and that extends on the football field too. I really, really try to not attract a lot of attention.
Problem is with me, I told my co-host the story, and Jacqueline, you know the story about the first time I met this team at Pride. Carly had to be Carly, and Carly had to wear the ultra flamboyant outfit. Her just had to be Carly. But no, that's the thing. It's it's good to be able to express yourself and be out there and play hard and play along with your mates. And with that in mind, what was that?
I have another thing. I have a thing to ask you about.
Yes.
Oh, y'all.
Yeah.
Thoughts on trans mask participation in women's sports? Right. I think this is another area that could use a lot more attention. I see so many trans mask people who've grown up playing women's sports as this is an outlet. This is an area that could do this more masculine activity like football. And then sadly they kind of have to quit if they want to start medically transitioning or if they want to be out or anything like that too. I would love to see some more moving the ball forward down the field for more inclusion, because hey, it's 2023. We know there's more than two genders. We know there are more than two sexes. We can be inclusive, right? If there's a way we can look at scientific literature and doctors' kind of opinions weighing in on things, I bet there's a way we could make some room for trans mass people to continue playing too.
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, we're going to take it now to the last call. This is like a little bit of time to riff on whatever you want for a few minutes. And Jacqueline, since you're our guest this week, you go first.
Come out and play. Come to a tryout. Teams are still holding tryouts today. Women's football is amazing. Give it a shot. Just go see if you like it. See if you gel with the team, gel with the players. It's amazing how much fun women's football is.
John, how about you?
They're the best. For about me, I just want to go back to my state of Ohio, talk a little bit more about the hearing, and there's so many. I think the thing that really stood out for me was the love and passion of these families. Like, there were a couple dads that were like, I hate woke and I don't like anything woke, but I love my trans kid. And I love hearing those stories of like and I think it just goes to show how the people in your lives are the most important. That's how you change hearts and minds. And going back to like playing sports, doing whatever, getting yourself out there and being a part, it's so much harder to hate us if you know us. Because at the end of the day, we're not these big scary monsters like we're played out to be. We're just people. Oh, I absolutely. Way back when I testified for the city of Cleveland's non-discrimination ordinance, and there were people testifying against passing it, and they were like, these big scary trans women with their muscles, and I went up and I was like, yeah, look at these guns, because, and I was so, I was like, yeah, that's me.
Okay, but it was hilarious when I first was going to join Cleveland years and years ago.
Yeah.
Cleveland's team. I was so terrified that I wasn't going to hang with them. I was in the gym 7 days a week. I was running. I ran my first 5K in my entire life, training for this team. And I was like, sweaty palms, driving to practice for an hour. Like, am I going to have the athleticism to keep up? And I was not like the excelling all-star on the team at that point. It's taken a lot of work to get there.
I love that. Like, hard work, exactly. Like, that's what it's about. It's just about, we are just like every other woman athlete at the end of the day. And I'm so happy to see you doing it. I'm happy to see Carly doing it. I'm happy to do it. Because remembering that there are people seeing us, the way that you inspired Carly, and I'm sure Carly's inspired who knows how many others who see her doing what she does and doing it so well and with such style and aplomb.
Chelsea, how about you? What's your last call?
Well, first I want to say maybe Ohio should get more woke because Ryan Day needs to wake up. But so I got this very gay looking medal from the city of San Francisco this week in my porn name. I finished a emerging leader program with Parvar in the Center of Immigrant Protection in the city. I moved here 10 years ago this week. I had my first day at the King.com Armory, which is a literal castle they used to own.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's working there was crazy.
Inside of it before, virtually through their videos.
Oh my god, did you?
No, I just watched their videos. But,
so when you were working there, you're in the middle of work, and then there's like tours coming through.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the weirdest thing, and then like people are looking at you like, oh my god, that's a porn star and shit. Very strange, but I got thrown into that whole world, and never in a million years did I ever think I would be recognized by the city for anything, let alone given a certificate by the city in my porn name. So I'm just really excited that I got to talk about the decriminalization of sex work and just all the good it will really do. I truly believe that we're going to see the end of like the war on sex work globally in our lifetime. And I really want to be a part of that however I can. And I'm just really glad that the city is at least doing something to hopefully elevate that. And I just want to be involved with that however I can. So It was a really big deal. And also that was during the Big Ten championship. So I was definitely having YouTube TV open on my phone throughout. So
of course you did.
Yeah, so two good things happened in one night. Third straight Big Ten championship, and I got this very gay looking medal from the city of San Francisco.
It's a great gay medal.
It is. And just say no to Swerf and Turf. I'm in total agreement. For my last call,
podcast.
Well, we're definitely an anti-turf podcast. For my last call this week, rather, first, again, a thanks to Jacqueline Cook for being here. A thanks for Shauna Adkison for speaking out. And a thanks to Chelsea Poe for engaging in that work and engaging in that training and helping take things one step forward. Because one thing about us at the Gridiron Girls is we're dedicated to a stronger community and a better world. It's part of the reason why we do what we do. And in my case, it's part of the reason, like I said, I live open. I transitioned to live. I didn't transition to play women's tackle football. I transitioned to live. And I transitioned to make my world better. And part of making my world better is making the world better. Now, there's been a lot of talk this week, in this last week or so, about Russia's recent crackdown on LGBTQ people. Vladimir Putin's faced with an economy that's stagnant and a war with Ukraine that's a stalemate. And yes, Ukraine may not be able to win, but they really don't need to. They just need to make it too expensive for the Russian bear to stay. Mm-hmm. And pretty much they have.
And it's not just Ukraine; it is the whole world at this point.
Yes, it is. But a lot of people want to talk about. Yes, but there's a lot of people want to talk about crackdowns around the world. The recent crackdown in Russia, and I've noticed a lot of sources in the West are alarmed about the anti-gay crackdown. That's all well and good, but the fact is, folks, you don't need to go far to see it because we have work to do here. When a minister for equalities who believes in inequality in the UK, yes, Kimmy Badenoch, I'm talking to you, calls gender-affirming care conversion therapy, we have work to do. When an entire political party can slur fellow Americans, and that's what the Republicans did in the House Oversight Committee hearings on Title IX and trans athletes a few days ago. We got work to do. And by the way, just to note again, let's stop saying trans athletes when you damn well know you're talking about transgender women. Let's cut that out. And let's talk about what this is really about. When a few paid transphobe paratroopers can paratroop into Columbus, Ohio, and trump the voices of thousands of LGBTQ Ohioans when it comes to trans rights, as we saw in 2 hearings over the last 2 weeks in that state, I say we have a lot of work to do right here in America.
But also, let's not forget on that front real quick, to piggyback off of that they had 11 people show up to testify, and they had to fly in at least half of them.
Exactly.
We had over 80 come from all over Ohio.
In fact,
and 200 sitting.
And two of those are Chloe Cole, and of course, a certain America's spoil sport, Riley Gaines.
Yeah, if you say her name 3 times, she shows up like Beetle Games.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's because we're saying that I want to tell a lot of people, even people in our community, this. Do not walk up to me and say, Carly, have you heard how bad it is in Russia? I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me, and don't you dare walk up to me saying, well, they throw you off a building if you were in those Islamic countries. Don't use your Islamophobia to try and cover up your bigotry to me. It ain't going to work. And I'm not just saying that as a transgender American. I'm also saying that as an African American who knows her history. Don't come with me with the pink washing. And too many Americans, even those in our community, are engaging in that. I don't want to hear when I heard what I heard on Thursday night, when I heard parents in Ohio, one parent at the top of her lungs screaming and crying, scared as hell for their child. If I was a person who was a state legislature in the state, and somebody told me that a budding college student is leaving my state because they don't feel safe there, I'd feel alarmed and I'd feel ashamed. Alarmed that future taxpayer is going to be living somewhere else, not Cleveland or Cincinnati, and ashamed that my state, that here's a person who was born and bred in my state, nurtured in my state, is nurtured in my state, would rather be called something other than someone who lives in my state. If you are going to go on that line, if that's what you're into, it's what you're into. But don't bring that to me. The best way that we can help LGBTQ people fighting oppression, be it in Russia, be it in China, be it in the Middle East, be it in sub-Saharan Africa, all the places that we in the West pick on. We need to be getting it right in Hungary and in Italy. Make sure that it stays right even with a far-right government in the Netherlands. Get it right in the UK, which means get rid of the Tories. And get it right.
And get your act together.
And get it right in 50% of the United States, which I call no trans land. If we want to help our community over there, we have to fight against oppression, and I'm going to say it, fascism, right here at home. And that's the Gridiron Girls for this week. Again, a special thanks to Jacqueline Cook for joining us. And you know we're going to want you, and you know we're going to want you back. And in fact, the next time you come back up here, when we're in our transition game period, we want you to bring some members of the Passion. Bring some players, bring some friends. We want to
Passion.
Yeah, bring some black and gold in here. Love to have you. And we're going to be following through the season. I'm going to tell you right now, the Gridiron Girls are going to be on location to watch you play a game. I'm going to be on location.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Going to fly in and
someone fly me in. Who has Southwest points?
We're gonna make that happen. But to all of you, thank you for joining us this week. And just a reminder, if there's something you want to see or something you want to say about what we're doing, leave a comment on our YouTube channel, leave a comment on our Instagram, leave a comment on our Twitter. But if you're gonna act a fool, don't leave a comment. Because you see, we don't spar, we just block. And we block like the Kembe Mutombo. So if you want to bring some transphobia, don't.
Just be cool. Just be cool.
Yeah, just be cool.
Don't be weird.
Super cool.
LeBron
Yeah,
Chase.
just be weird about it.
You'll be Andre.
And that is the Gridiron Girls for this week. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
I'm Shauna Adkison.
Jacqueline Cook.
Everybody, thank you all for joining us this week. Enjoy the bowl games ahead. Go Army, beat Navy, and we'll see you all next week.